throughout the globe. 160. Over the next 5 years, Tesla wrote more than 50 letters to Morgan, pleading for and demanding additional funding to complete the construction of Wardenclyffe. Tesla continued the project for another 9 months into 1902. The tower was erected to its full height of 187 feet, 57 m. 162. In June 1902, Tesla moved his lab operations from Houston Street to Wardenclyffe. 165. Investors on Wall Street were putting their money into Marconi's system, and some in the press began turning against Tesla's project, claiming it was a hoax. 167. The project came to a halt in 1905, and in 1906 the financial problems and other events may have led to what Tesla biographer Mark J. Cypher suspects was a nervous breakdown on Tesla's part. 168. Tesla mortgaged the Wardenclyffe property to cover his debts at Waldorf Astoria, which eventually amounted to $20,000, $584,300 in today's dollars. 75. 169. He lost the property in foreclosure in 1915, and in 1917 the tower was demolished by the new owner to make the land a more viable real estate asset. Later years. After Wardenclyffe closed, Tesla continued to write to Morgan. After the great man died, Tesla wrote to Morgan's son Jack, trying to get further funding for the project. In 1906, Tesla opened offices at 165 Broadway in Manhattan, trying to raise further funds by developing and marketing his patents. He went on to have offices at the Metropolitan Life Tower from 1910 to 1914, rented for a few months at the Woolworth Building, moving out because he could not afford the rent, and then to office space at 8 West 40th Street from 1915 to 1925. After moving to 8 West 40th Street, he was effectively bankrupt. Most of his patents had run out and he was having trouble with the new inventions he was trying to develop. 170. Bladeless turbine. Tesla's bladeless turbine design on his 50th birthday, in 1906, Tesla demonstrated a 200 horsepower, 150 kilowatts, 16,000 rpm bladeless turbine. During 1910-1911, at the Waterside Power Station in New York, several of his bladeless turbine engines were tested at 105,000 HP. 171. Tesla worked with several companies including from 1919 to 1922 inches Milwaukee, for Alice Chalmers. 172. 173. He spent most of his time trying to perfect the Tesla turbine with Hans Dahlstrand, the head engineer at the company, but engineering difficulties meant it was never made into a practical device. 174. Tesla did license the to a precision instrument company, and it found use in the form of luxury car speedometers and other instruments. 175. Wireless lawsuits. When World War I broke out, the British cut the transatlantic telegraph cable linking the US to Germany in order to control the flow of information between the two countries. They also tried to shut off German wireless communication to and from the US by having the US Marconi company sue the German radio company Telefunken for patent infringement. 176. Telefunken brought in the physicists Jonathan Zinnek and Carl Ferdinand Braun for their defense, and hired Tesla as a witness for 2 years for $1,000 a month. The case stalled and then went moot when the US entered the war against Germany in 1917. 176. 177. In 1915, Tesla attempted to sue the Marconi company for infringement of his wireless tuning patents. Marconi's initial radio patent had been awarded in the US in 1897, but his 1900 patent submission coverage improvements to radio transmission had been rejected several times, before it was finally approved in 1904 on the grounds that it infringed on other existing patents including two 1897 Tisla wireless power tuning patents. 139, 178, 179. Tisla's 1915 case went nowhere. 180. But in a related case, where the Marconi Company tried to sue the U.S. government over WWI patent infringements, a Supreme Court of the United States 1943 decision restored the prior patents of Oliver Lodge, John Stone, and Tisla. 181. The court declared that their decision had no bearing on Marconi's claim as the first to achieve radio transmission, just that since Marconi's claim to certain patented improvements were questionable, the company could not claim infringement on those same patents. 139, 182. Nobel Prize rumors. On the 6th of November, 1915, a Reuters news agency report from London had the 1915 Nobel Prize in Physics awarded to Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. However, on the 15th of November, a Reuters story from Stockholm stated the prize that year was being awarded to William Henry Bragg and Lawrence Bragg for their services in the analysis of crystal structure by means of X-rays. 183, 184, 185. There were unsubstantiated rumors at the time that either Tesla or Edison had refused the prize. 183. The Nobel Foundation said, any rumor that a person has not been given a Nobel Prize because he has made known his intention to refuse its reward is ridiculous. A recipient could decline a Nobel Prize only after he is announced a winner. 183. There have been subsequent claims by Tesla biographers that Edison and Tesla were the original recipients and that neither was given the award because of their animosity toward each other, that each sought to minimize the other's achievements and right to win the award, that both refused ever to accept the award if other received it first, that both rejected any possibility of sharing it, and even that a wealthy Edison refused it to keep Tesla from getting the $20,000 prize money. 183. In the years after these rumors, neither Tesla nor Edison won a Nobel Prize, although Edison received one of 38 possible bids in 1915 and Tesla received one of 38 possible bids in 1937. 186. Other awards, patents and ideas. Tesla won numerous medals and awards over this time. They include Grand Officer of the Order of St. Sava, Serbia, 1892. Elliott Cresson Medal, Franklin Institute, USA, 1894, 187. Grand Cross of the Order of Prince Danilo I, Montenegro, 1895, 188. AIE Edison Medal, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, USA, 1916, 189. Grand Cross of the Order of St. Sava, Yugoslavia, 1926, 190. Cross of the Order of the Yugoslav Crown, Yugoslavia, 1931. John Scott Medal, Franklin Institute and Philadelphia City Council, USA, 1934, 187. Order of the White Eagle, Yugoslavia, 1936. Grand Cross of the Order of the White Lion, Czechoslovakia, 1937, 191. Medal of the University of Paris, Paris, France, 1937. The Medal of the University Saint Clement of Akrida, Sofia, Bulgaria, 1939. Tesla attempted to market several devices based on the production of ozone. These included his 1900 Tesla Ozone Company selling an 1896 patented device based on his Tesla coil, Used to bubble ozone through different types of oils to make a therapeutic gel. 192. He also tried to develop a variation of this a few years later as a room sanitizer for hospitals. 193. Tesla theorized that the application of electricity to the brain enhanced intelligence. In 1912, he crafted a plan to make dull students bright by saturating them unconsciously with electricity, wiring the walls of a schoolroom and saturating the schoolroom with infinitesimal electric waves vibrating at high frequency. Second banquet meeting of the Institute of Radio Engineers, 23 April 1915. Tesla is seen standing in the center. The whole room will thus, Mr. Tesla claims, be converted into a health-giving and stimulating electromagnetic field or bath. 194. The plan was, at least provisionally, approved by the Superintendent of New York City Schools, William H. Maxwell. 194. Before World War I, Tesla sought overseas investors. After the war started, Tesla lost the funding he was receiving from his patents in European countries. In the August 1917 edition of the magazine Electrical Experimenter, Tesla postulated that electricity could be used to locate submarines via using the reflection of an electric ray of tremendous frequency with the signal being viewed on a fluorescent screen, a system that has been noted to have a superficial resemblance to modern radar. 195. Tesla was incorrect in his assumption that high-frequency radio waves would penetrate water. 196. Émile Legiradio, who helped develop France's first radar system in the 1930s, noted in 1953 that Tesla's general speculation that a very strong high-frequency signal would be needed was correct. Girardio said, Tesla was prophesying or dreaming, since he had at his disposal no means of carrying them out. But one must admit if he was dreaming, at least he was dreaming correctly. 197. In 1928, Tesla received patent, U.S. Patent 1,655,114, for aeroplane design capable of vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL, which gradually tilted through manipulation of the elevator devices in flight until it was flying like a conventional plane. 198. His impractical design was something Tesla thought would sell for less than $1,000. 199. 200. Tesla had a further office at 350 Madison Ave, 201. But by 1928 he no longer had a laboratory or funding. 202. Living circumstances. Tesla lived at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City from 1900 and ran up a large bill. 203. He moved to St. Regis Hotel in 1922 and followed a pattern from then on of moving to a different hotel every few years and leaving unpaid bills behind. 204. 205. Tesla walked to the park every day to feed the pigeons. He began feeding them at the window of his hotel room and nursed injured birds back to health. 205. 206. 207. He said that he had been visited by a certain injured white pigeon daily. He spent over $2,000, equivalent to $34,970 in 2022, to care for the bird, including a device he built to support her comfortably while her broken wing and leg healed. 31. Tesla stated, I have been feeding pigeons, thousands of them, for years. But there was one, a beautiful bird, pure white with light gray tips on its wings. That one was different. It was a female. I had only to wish and call her and she would come flying to me. I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life. 208. Tesla's unpaid bills, as well as complaints about the mess made by pigeons, led to his eviction from St. Regis in 1923. He was also forced to leave the Hotel Pennsylvania in 1930 and the Hotel Governor Clinton in 1934. 205. At one point he also took rooms at the Hotel Marguerite. Tesla moved to the Hotel New Yorker in 1934. At this time Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company began paying him $125,000